Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be addressing what I believe to be a very common misconception, just based on what I've seen in my Twitch chat as well as in my YouTube comments. And that misconception is that when you are playing in the side lanes, I have heard time and time again that people talk about not wanting to take the tier 1 tower super early because then it allows the opponent to recover. So let's go ahead and jump into a replay real quick just to show you what situation we're talking about. So here we are. The situation that I'm talking about is that Radiant has taken the tier 1 tower. Usually the window in which we're referring to is somewhere between 6 to 14 minutes. And I specifically refer to 14 minutes. That's the point in the game where I feel like the offlane is specifically trying to get involved in the game more, potentially invading the Wisdom Shrine or participating in their own Wisdom Shrine or the mid lane runes. There's a bunch of stuff for you to do around the 14-minute mark. But the situation we're talking about is they've taken the tower and the enemy carry is able to now safely farm in front of their tier 1 tower. And this is exactly what people have talked about in pubs, because a lot of times, especially in pubs, we're looking at a pro match right now, but especially in pubs, the game begins to stagnate around this time. So given the situation where you're the offlaner and you've won your lane, it feels really bad now that the game is going to slow down and that the enemy carry gets to recover in front of their tower. Most important thing about this is I have a sliding scale of 1 to 10. The 10 being heroes that farm jungle really, really fast, but are also gankable. So it's a combination of jungle speed and survivability of the carry, compared to heroes that don't farm jungle very fast and are also very difficult to gank. These heroes are a 1. So an example of these heroes is like Ricky, PA, Anti-Mage. These heroes are a 1. They don't jungle very fast, but they're also kind of hard to gank. Monkey King's pretty low on there because he doesn't jungle unless he has a jungling item. So he's maybe like a 3 or a 4. But a hero like Luna or Sven, who jungles very fast and would probably die to a gank because they don't have innate like mobility or survivability, these are the heroes that are more on like the 10 scale. And this strategy is less impactful the higher the hero goes on the scale. So it's most noteworthy that if you're in pubs against Faceless Void, Anti-Mage, Ricky, PA, the likes of heroes that you're like, it feels really bad to let them farm freely in front of their tower after we won the lane, this video is for you. So we see in this pro match that this is happening. And so this is something that I've seen happen a bunch of times. So we have this example for you where I want to show that anybody on your team, you can do it as the offlaner, you can do it as a support, you can do it as the carry or the mid if you've rotated to here. If you see this happening, what we're going to see Saksa do is simply pull the large camp in order to pull the lane back. And what's going to happen here is that by doing so, over time, this lane ends up pushing back into his team so that Monkey King no longer has creeps to farm, and instead his offlaner gets to farm. So that's what we're trying to accomplish, is limiting the farm of the opponent carry while also bolstering the farm of your offlaner. Now, bear in mind, you can do this as many times as you'd like, and there are going to be a lot more than just this single creep wave that we're talking about. So he effectively denied 2 creeps there, while also giving his offlaner the ability to farm safely here, rather than farming all the way up here. And of course, Monkey King went off into the jungle, but it's important to note that this little efficiency swing is very impactful, especially when your offlaner is like rushing a big greedy item like Radiance. So in the last clip, I showed a support doing this, but now we're going to show another pro match with an offlaner doing it. So in this next replay, I go to a Team Liquid versus Heroic game where Saberlight in the offlane playing Terrorblade from a little while ago is going to take the tier 1 tower. Now, what you're going to see happen here is that the enemy carry is an Abaddon who's level 5. He's survivable, but he doesn't jungle very fast. So Saberlight is going to utilize the small camp pull. Now think about it. If he didn't utilize the small camp pull, these creeps would walk straight down the lane and meet about right here with these creeps. So the Abaddon would be able to safely farm right in front of his tier 1 tower. But instead, he's going to utilize this pull camp, pull it into his wave. Notice how Radiance even blocked the hard camp, so they can't do that. And by pulling this wave back, as we fast forward, Abaddon sees that there's no creep wave here, has to walk further forward, and then Saberlight and the rest of Liquid is going to utilize this opportunity to actually potentially kill him. And even though he doesn't die, instead of safely farming in front of his tower, he's going to drop really low and have to go back to base. So this is a perfect example of just how powerful it is to utilize either the small camp or the large camp in order to reset the lane equilibrium just a bit further back. So in the first pro example, we saw it just be an efficiency move to help his offlaner rush a big item. In this case, you're seeing how it really hurts the carry in a much more pressure-heavy situation. So I've seen this time and time again in pro matches, and I myself have been implementing it in the last few months. I believe it's absolutely essential to be utilizing in pubs because of the fact that the pace often slows down at this stage and the carry is allowed to just freely recover. So I'm going to show you some examples from my games now where I utilized it in the safe lane as well as in the off lane, and just showing you the potential payoffs that it can have in pubs. So in my game, you're going to see a similar scenario. However, I'm playing carry Drow in this instance, and their offlaner's having quite a tough time. He's level 4 and I'm level 7. Undying Drow, very scary lane, and we're taking a super early tower. So what we're afraid of is Axe just being able to freely farm his wave under here and rotate between lane and jungle. So what you're going to see is that you can also purposely stack pull this camp. Even if you're on Dire, you could do this as well, where it gets at 854, and then Axe, who's going to want to farm this wave, is going to get it fully denied to him and is stuck only farming 2 neutral camps. And by pulling this lane back, not only are we denying Axe farm, but we're also giving ourselves a stacked hard camp when a lot of carries at this stage of the game cannot farm a stacked hard camp very efficiently. And also, I have the opportunity to farm the creep wave in front of my tower, given the fact that if I hadn't done this, it would be up here and I would stuck jungling. So it's not only important to consider, like in this case, Axe can recover decently well in the jungle, but it's also important to consider that as a carry, if I don't want to rotate anywhere just yet, and I also don't farm jungle super fast, that I can effectively give myself more farm and safer farm because it's very difficult for the opponent to gank this area when they've lost this tower. So maximizing efficiency, getting the hard camp stack, and then killing the wave afterwards. So here we are in another situation where this time around I'm playing offlane Omni and we're playing against one of the carries that I talked about. We're playing against an anti-mage. Notice how he's level 6 and I'm level 9. Nice. And even though I'm able to run at him here and bully him, he's still effectively farming a lot safer here than he would be otherwise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in the lane. You also don't want to be taking too much of your time sitting here pressuring anti-mage. And I'm actually going to go pull this camp here. After farming this camp, we're going to go pull this one, which is the same stack pull we saw from Radiant just as the offlaner. And what's going to happen is this anti-mage who wants to farm the lane, he's going to try to walk down the lane, right? He's not going to see any creeps. So he's just going to end up wasting his time. Then has to jungle as an anti-mage. Now this Batrider support feels bad because he's like, his carry's probably whining at this point. Sees this camp over here. And this actually sets us up to kill the support Batrider with me and a support, similar to what we saw in the Team Liquid game. And meanwhile, anti-mage is stuck jungling, and the lane is all the way back here with us having denied an entire wave to that big camp stack pull. So last but not least, we got ourselves an Ursa game where I'm playing safe lane again. And notice how we're up again, and we are taking the enemy offlane tower pretty early. So in this case, what we're trying to prevent is an Axe, once again, from recovering. So fortunately, we already had a stack that was in the hard camp, and we're just going to utilize the pull the same way again. Then we're going to clear the wave, effectively denying a support in this case, who's going to have to walk up. Feels unsafe to do so. And then we're going to actually get creative with the pull camps. Just watch how much we're able to utilize them. So we're going to continue to deny this wave effectively. What's really important to note about all of this is that this is in the stage of the game where if you're winning your lane that you don't want to rotate yet. You're just happy to deny farm and play for efficiency. Notice how I'm like playing for my Battle Fury. I'm going to get this camp, or sorry, this wave while this camp is dying. And then I'm going to pull again. So what I've effectively done with this time after winning my lane is drawn out until I have Battle Fury. Because until I have Battle Fury on a hero like Ursa, I don't really farm that efficiently. So by having pulled so many times, the lane's up here rather than like all the way up here. My Battle Fury is flying out to me. I'm going to push the wave. And then I'm going to clear this stack that I've made. What's really important to note about this concept is whether you're seeing it in the carry role where I'm working towards a Battle Fury, whether you saw it in the pro match of the Brewmaster working towards a Radiance, this is the way that you maximize punishing while also being efficient with your farm when you're building towards a timing. That can be a blink timing, that can be a Battle Fury or a Radiance timing. But the whole idea of this that we're trying to address with this concept is that people were coming to me saying that they didn't really know what to do in this early to mid game period. And they were actually leaning away from taking that tier 1 tower because it felt like they were missing on the lane farm and they were also just giving the opponent that they won the lane against a free way to recover. So this is basically telling you that actually, if you're winning your lane and you take that tower really early, whether or not you're a safe laner or an offlaner, not only is it good for pressuring and getting that extra gold for your team, but it also makes it so you can deny them even more than you otherwise would, because these camps are really hard to contest. And by them having to walk out that far with no tier 1 tower for their team to help them, then you're setting up a lot of ganks if they want to contest you. And if they don't, then you're just able to freely deny them waves in a way that you probably wouldn't be able to if their tier 1 tower was still there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is something that I highly encourage you to consider whenever you're done with your laning phase. Do I want to be rotating around the map just yet? Or do I feel like I'm still working to farm and be efficient? This is most impactful on heroes that don't necessarily flash farm themselves, because if you're playing a hero like TA, for instance, that already flash farms once she's won the lane, then it's probably better to just play for stacking and farming ancients instead of looking to shut down the opponent. It's all about how much farm are you missing by not moving around, so most heroes don't have that built-in farm steroid, and also how much farm would the opponent be getting if they don't have lane farm. So in the case of the carries like Anti-Mage, denying them is absolutely essential a lot of the time, and unless it's severely hampering my game, I'm going to utilize it. So this is just one of the many ways that you can look to punish people when you win your lane, and we're specifically talking about when that tower's taken. I hope this gave you some useful tools in your games. Make sure you punish those people when you get into that early lead. This applies to all MMR brackets, and the most important part about it is make sure that you have that camp available. So if it's not available and you're about to take the tower, fly yourself a sentry in order to do just this, because it's absolutely crippling to the opponent, especially in pubs where they're not coordinated and they're not going to prevent you from doing so. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.